Right. You guys kind of set the tone of being kind of like really kind of deep and emotional. And if I did that right now tonight, I probably wouldn't stop crying by the time the wedding's over tomorrow. So this little anecdote, I hope, is going to help you just with a little window on our family a little bit, and something that I thought was really significant about the time Christy was born. And our family has heard some of this before, but you know, I know that you guys have heard. You know, there's just things that you don't forget as a father, and of course, the birth of your children is one of those. It's transformative, and it's hard to relate. It's hard to convince others until you experience it yourself. It's really kind of hard to understand it. In our little situation here, Christy's birthday is December 5th. She now works at the same place that she was born, delivering babies. And interesting, at Lexington Medical Center, they if you were a December baby, I guess it starts after Thanksgiving, I don't know. And I don't know if they still do this or not, but the little skull caps, is that what you call them? The little things that they put on the baby right after it comes out on its head. You know, there's usually this little this little pink and blue trimmed little hat that they make. And it's for Christmas time, babies that are born, I guess, after Thanksgiving, they tie it up with or they did for us, with a little green and red ribbon. So when the baby is then presented back to you guys, it's like there's this little Christmas gift. And I just, thought that was so cute. But that's not really what I was going to talk about. Because I can't read my paper. Christy was a cesarean section, and I don't want to get too graphic here. But you need to understand some things about that. Obviously, her older brother and her younger brother were too. She was a cesarean because her older brother made it that way for the rest of the guys. So, but it's really kind of strange, and I know some of you guys are in the medical field. I'm hoping that some of you aren't, and maybe you had the same impression that I did. But when you walk in there, you walk into an operating room, and as the father, you've been sent to go get your clothes changed and to put on the scrubs, and then you come out and you're in the operating room, and there's your wife, and there's this veil that is dividing her, and on one side is a head that is, bouncy and bright and talkative, and then on the other side is the area where all the business takes place. That's a scary thing. So when you're presented with it, you're like, oh my goodness. Well, it kind of reminds me of those magic tricks where they saw. There's this big metal thing. Well, anyway. In our case, with a cesarean section, especially the second one, and I'm understand that all subsequent ones, things have to happen, I guess, that to the untrained eye, it's really pretty medically shocking when you see what's happening on the business side of the veil versus the other side. And in our case, you know, Joanna, my beautiful wife, she was radiant and happy and talkative, and you know, here's this talking head, and then just on the other side of the veil is an absolute train wreck that is just unlike anything you have ever seen in your life. And so here's this setting, and you know, it's really surreal, and so you know, everything went fine. Christy was born fine, and they had taken her out, and she was over there and just hollering away, and you know, crying, and Joanna was like, "Oh, I can't wait until we take you home and meet Trent," and you know, and she kept talking about wanting to take her home and meet Trent, and this kind of thing. And then I noticed that as they brought Christy closer to her and she began to hear Joanna's voice, she would just like stop hollering and just kind of, you know, kind of that place, you know, that emotional place where you don't know if you're gonna just absolutely lose it with crying or lose it with laughter or whatever, but she was just so emotionally, her lip would pucker and that kind of thing. But it was when she heard her mother's voice that she became calm and at peace, and she just knew that she was in the right place. And I mean, it was just really stunning. And so I guess in terms of a blessing, or in terms of a toast, or in terms of a wish for both of them, you know, what I'd like to say is that that now in this very significant time in their lives, when they're becoming married, Jonathan and Christy, that here is to Christy, that she would find the calming peace and sense of love and well-being as she runs to and is placed in the hands of the love of her life, which is really what's happening here. I know that you guys are very dear friends of both of these beautiful people, but have you ever seen anybody so happy as Jonathan? I mean, it's almost sickening. But and of course Christy too. I mean, these guys are head and heels in love with each other. But here's also to Jonathan that he would find that same peace and guidance as he looks to Christ for the provision of all he needs to lead Christy and their new family. So God bless you guys.